Ben here. Today we're going to go over the I.Ta.K, Individual Trauma Kit. So stay tuned. Alright guys, the first thing I want to do is explain what the difference between an I.F.A.K and an I.Ta.K is. An I.F.A.K is an individual first aid kit. It's a boo-boo kit. Bandages, Neosporin, just a basic first aid kit. An I.Ta.K is an individual trauma kit. T.A. for the word trauma. That is tourniquets, gauze, chest seals, extreme circumstances where, you know, it's not a cut on the finger, it's I'm bleeding out and gonna die in about 3 minutes. Admit that there are a couple things I yet to have to get in this, but this is pretty set. Pretty much chest seals and combat gauze are pretty much about the only thing I'm going to want to put in here. It is pretty packed. It is pretty extensive. There's redundancies in here. I do only have one CAT tourniquet. CAT is just a brand name. It stands for Combat Application Tourniquet. There are other tourniquets, rat tourniquets and other such, but I like the CAT tourniquet. This is a two-piece. First of all, the main piece, the actual main I.Ta.K. I have that on my side, like I showed earlier. And then the secondary, which is at my welt of my back. The reason I have this at the welt of my back is because of this right here. This is a CAT tourniquet. A CAT tourniquet is simply a brand name. Stands for Combat Application Tourniquet. My opinion, the best tourniquet out there. There are other tourniquets and people have their own preference. So if you do know anything about tourniquets, please leave a comment at the bottom and let me know what your favorite tourniquet is. This is, like I say, one of my favorite. And easily accessed by either the left or the right hand. I have is 2 Israeli bandages. These are great. I'll do a video on these later. These are the best because, first of all, they're very compact. They act as both a tourniquet and a combat gauze, without the hemostatic compound in them. And I'll do a video on several of these things in this pack. I'm not going to go too far into what each one does, but look for videos in the future about each individual piece. Rip it right off, put it down and use it. I can open it all the way up. We'll open it up here in a second. But I can also just rip it off of my waist and hand it off to somebody. I want to get a secondary tourniquet for this. That way if I hand it off, they have a tourniquet, a designated tourniquet in there for that. And you can rip this right here. It's Velcroed also. And then 2 zippers. And then the first thing I do have on top is an emergency bivvy by Bearhard. It's an emergency bivvy light. It's an emergency blanket pretty much. So the reason why I have this in there for trauma is going to be shock. A lot of people, when they bleed out, their system gets cold because of the warm blood, the lack of warm blood flowing through their veins. The cold will it'll put them into shock, and this emergency blanket will help prevent putting them into shock as I treat them. And then this opens right up like this. So this is a splint for sprains, breaks, and then this unfolds out like this. I have saline, which is good for washing out wounds, eye wash, a bunch of different stuff. And I have mini sewing kit in here in case I have to do some sewing and mending wounds. Then I have some gauze pads, some miscellaneous gauze pads. So we got a 3x3 and a 4x4 in there, gauze pads. And then here I have a base camp mask. It's for particulates. And in the back here I have rolled gauze, which is good for packing wounds. Let's say a gunshot. If I have a gunshot wound, I'm going to unravel this. I'm going to start pushing the end of the gauze into the wound and find the hot spot with my finger. That's where the blood loss is going to be coming from, direct source. And then I'm going to go north, east, south, west by pushing in north, east, south, west. So I get a broad coverage on the inside of the wound. Then after that, I will cover this with Israeli bandage. There's a third Israeli bandage. It's a self-adhering athletic tape bandage. Maximum support, self-grip, strains and sprains. Okay. So that's good. It goes great with this for sprains, breaks. And then we have rolls of tape, the 3M Transport. Then I have a 2% tincture of iodine. It's a set of gloves packed in this. And this is actually the white gloves. If you get the black gloves, you can't see what you're working with as far as blood loss, detecting blood. Not only to protect yourself, but to protect the patient. Then I have medical Sea Shears. I like these because they're compact, very well made. But they will definitely do the job. These are great for cutting off clothes from people to get to the wound, to see exactly what you're dealing with, and to give you room to work. Both on and around the patient and its wounds, their wounds. And I have some hemostats here. These are great. We have some stop bleeding. I want to replace these with the combat gauze. It's wrapped gauze that has hemostatic agents already in it. It usually only takes about 2 to 3 minutes for somebody profusely bleeding out to die. If I would only have a couple of things in an I.Ta.K, it would be definitely the emergency blanket or emergency Bivvy. It would be gauze. And it'd be an Israeli bandage. Those 3 things, plus a tourniquet. At a very, very minimum. Alright guys, for the missing items in my I.Ta.K, I put links in the descriptions below. So go ahead and check those out. I'm going to get those as soon as I can, and I'll be putting those in my I.Ta.K. So go ahead and check those out, and thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscription button and share.